All right. Here we are. It's Friday, the 23rd of January. Like, we're so far in January already. Can you believe it?
It's crazy. It's kind of flown by.
It's flying. Yeah, it's flying already. I'm sitting here today with the one and only David Avallone. I said that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, did I mess it up last time? I don't remember. Oh my gosh. But thanks so much for sitting with me today, because we're talking a little bit about Elvira and a little bit about Dynamite's latest Humble Bundle with all of, maybe not all of, but a lot of our character crossover titles, which Elvira is included in. So if anyone out there is unfamiliar with the Humble Bundle, it's basically digital copies of all these different Dynamite titles, and you pay what you want for how much you want. And I think this specific set you can get for at least $18 for all these books. And the best part, it all benefits towards the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund.
Yeah.
So the specific Elvira's stories that are included from you, like Elvira meets Vincent Price, Elvira in Monsterland, and Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
I think the last time I talked with you was on Lovecraft.
Yeah.
That was last year or the year before?
Yeah, Lovecraft came out last year. I think it was the early part of last year. I think it was coming out. But yeah, no, the Humble Bundles are always Dynamite's Humble Bundles are always a really great deal. It's a ton of great comics for a really, really low price. And I always encourage people to go out and pick them up. And the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund is an incredible, really incredible charity. They also have the best party at San Diego Comic-Con, but that's a different issue.
Out of these Elvira series specifically, like, was there one that you had the most fun writing, or is there something special about each series that?
I think you said Monsterland. Is Horrorland also part of this? I can't remember.
I don't believe it is. I believe it's just Monsterland.
Monsterland uses a concept that I kind of wish I had come up with earlier with Elvira, because it was so much fun. It actually makes its debut at the end of Vincent Price. The idea that all movies create their own little parallel universes where the story tells itself over and over and over again. And in Monsterland, our series-long villain, if you've been reading from the beginning, is Vlad the Impaler, the historical Vlad the Impaler, who turns out to be also a vampire, because of course he is. And he gets in Monsterland, he gets his hands on this magical device that allows him to travel into the multiverse of movies, and he uses it to build an army of monsters that he is kidnapping from monster movies. So the first issue is the Dracula vampire issue. Second one's the Frankenstein issue. The third one's the werewolf issue. The fourth one is the kaiju issue. And then the fifth one wraps it all up. So it's kind of a sneaky way of doing Mad Magazine parodies of every horror movie ever made, but with Elvira as sort of your tour guide through them. And I had so much fun with that. And the fourth issue, You Don't Look Kaiju-ish, I think is the title of that issue. Is one of my favorite things I've ever written, because I grew up loving Godzilla movies, and they meant a lot to me when I was a kid, and I still enjoy them. So that, and the Vincent Price series was also incredible fun, because, Vincent's gone. I have no chance of ever working with Vincent Price on anything, which is a tragedy. But I got to really sort of do a lot of research on him and get into his head and find out who he was. And just an absolutely delightful, wonderful human being. And when the series was over, I kind of felt like, oh, I don't get to spend time with my pal Vincent anymore. And then on the other end of the spectrum is H.P. Lovecraft, who was not a delightful human being, who was kind of a creepy jerk and a racist and all of these things. And I kind of stayed away from him in earlier Elvira series because I didn't want to deal with that. And I felt like after 5-6 miniseries with Elvira, I had reached a level of comfort and trust with the audience that I could do an H.P. Lovecraft series that dealt with who he really was and be honest about that, and that the audience would trust me that I wasn't going to betray them and make him just a wonderful guy. It was easier and I still, I still got to, I think that Lovecraft is one of those guys. His influence is so much greater than the stories he wrote. So much art has been created, but even when he was alive, he did this unique thing of open sourcing his mythology, which no one had done. Instead of saying, I own Cthulhu, I own Yog-Sothoth, I own this universe, he encouraged all of his friends to contribute to it, including the dear departed Robert Bloch, who was a pal of mine before he passed away in the late 90s. And Bob has I think issue 3, Bob has a 3-page cameo in. For those who don't know, Robert Bloch wrote Psycho. And when he was a teenager, he started a correspondence with Lovecraft and ended up being like the youngest person to contribute a story to the Lovecraft mythology, to the Cthulhu mythos. So anyway, those are the, sort of the alpha and omega of the personalities that I get to deal with. And in the middle, you have, Monsterland, which is just fun with old movies, basically. And I want to shout out Cuber Ball, who drew Monsterland. Is 100%. An incredible talent. And the challenges, even in that first issue, it's like a different likeness, a different set, a different movie set. On every 2 pages. He's recreating a Hammer horror movie. He's recreating the Night Stalker pilot from the 70s. He's recreating, on the first 2 pages, the original Bela Lugosi Dracula, and it all looks exactly right. And I want to shout out to Walter Pariah, the colorist, because Walter manages to get different looks for black and white movies, which is like, instead of just it's black and white, everything just kind of looks black and white. The black and white in the Dracula's daughter sequence looks different from the black and white in the Dracula sequence, looks different from the black and white in the Frankenstein sequence. And that's a real colorist. That's someone who's really in control of the medium. And of course, I always shout out the great Taylor Esposito, who does lettering on these things and is a monster talent in that in his field. So yeah, and the Vincent Price issues are drawn by the great Juan Samu, who is currently drawing Harley Quinn X Elvira. I don't know how to translate the X. Is it Harley Quinn times Elvira? And yeah, and that's Vincent Price, and Lovecraft is also Cuber Ball, which is again just tremendous work. I hope I get a chance to work with him again.
Yeah, each series, like you said, you and Cuber, like it's a unique team, and like you said, you all bring something special to it. And especially, I think just all the series are great for whether you're an Elvira fan or just a horror fan in general. I mean, me personally, I'm such a movie nerd, so seeing all the Easter eggs and related to old school classic movies, I'm like, oh, this is so fun. They allow you to do sort of nonstop Easter eggs, and I like to think that they're funny even if you don't get all of the jokes. There's a Justice League parody in the 5th issue in which the Superman in the Justice League is called Cavalryman, and of course it's Henry Cavill with a mustache, because of course the mustache was erased in the Justice League movie because he had grown a mustache. And that's just a deep stupid joke, but I think it's funny. It makes me laugh every time I see it, and that's that's the joy. I think they work as stories and they work as comedy, even if you only have sort of like a glancing knowledge of the movies themselves. And I remember when I was a kid growing up on Mad Magazine, most of the time I hadn't seen the movie because I was 7 years old. No one took me to see The Great Gatsby when I was 7 years old, but I would read the movie parody and it was still very funny, even though I knew nothing about the movie that was being parodied. The jokes have to be good enough. It's the Bugs Bunny principle. You can make the smart adult joke as long as the joke still lands, whether you get that or not. So I strive to meet the Bugs Bunny principle of you don't always have to get the reference as long as it's still funny, even if you don't get the reference. Cavalryman still looks funny, even if you don't know it's Henry Cavill, and Henry Cavill had to have his mustache removed digitally for the movie. He's still just a funny looking character and all that. So yeah,
I have great fun with Elvira, and we're talking about what my next Elvira series is going to be after Harley Quinn is done coming out. I have one other thing to write before I get to that one, but I think within the month I'll be writing the first issue of the next Elvira series.
That's very exciting.
It is.
I know I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I can't reveal what it is yet. I think I'm still waiting for approval on the thing the big thing we're going to make fun of, but I think it's going to be very well timed. We'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something I asked Eric Burnham yesterday, what makes a good crossover?
I think it's if the characters in conversation with each other are just undeniably interesting. And again, Vincent and Howard Lovecraft show the two sides of that. Vincent Price and Cassandra Peterson were good friends in the real world. They have similar interests. They have similar outlooks. They have similar takes on the world. But one's a dapper old theatrical gentleman, and one's this showgirl. One's the ultimate goth showgirl. So they're different enough that it's not just two characters with the same voice, but they're close enough that the way they see the world together is intrinsically fun and funny. And over on the other side, Lovecraft is so different from her. She's the woman who has no shame. He's the man who is ashamed of everything. She's the woman who has no fear. He's the man who's afraid of everything. And that's funny. The way that they walk into a room and automatically her reaction and Lovecraft's reaction are going to be absolutely the opposite of each other. And that's funny. So it's always a question of like, how are these characters going to bump off of each other in a fun and funny way? And with Elvira, with the fourth wall breaks, you've also got the aspect of Elvira as the audience surrogate who can comment on the absurdity of what she's seeing or of what's going on. I mean, I think one of my favorite things I ever wrote with her is the kaiju issue, just because it's like, it's so absurd to put Elvira in a Godzilla movie. And I will say artist Dave Acosta saved me on that, because when I was writing it, I didn't know how I could really have her go face to face with Godzilla, for the really obvious reason that she's this big and he's this big. And then he did a cover for it that was Mecha Elvira, a giant, Jaeger, to use the Guillermo del Toro word, an Elvira Jaeger. And I went, holy shit, does that solve the problem? The last scene has got to be a fight between Godzilla, or in our case, because of, legal, the Mad magazine of it all, I think Kingzilla versus Mecha Elvira was just a hilarious thing. And again, I think, what was I, 6 or 7 years old when I saw Terror of Mecha Godzilla. So that was, a lot of fun for me to do.
I had the book here. I wish I had the book right here so I can show, because I know the exact cover you're talking about. Yeah.
And he drew her fighting some giant crab creature, some giant crab kaiju, which was, I don't particularly remember a giant crab kaiju from any of the movies. So I called it Dungeness the Nebula Crab. When I was thinking about what do I call this thing, I was like, Dungeness actually kind of sounds like a made up Japanese name, even though it's a kind of crab, but it sounded funny to me. So anyway, but yeah, I have so much fun with the Elvira books, and I'm hoping, I mean, they've been in print long enough. I think there's some proof that the readers also are having fun with them.
Before we wrap things up, was there anything else you wanted to give a shout out to? You said you're working on more Elvira. Was there anything else?
Yes, I have a bunch of stuff coming from Dynamite. There's a super secret series I'm working on that I'm still told I can't talk about. But it's what can I say about it? No, nothing. I can't say anything about it. But that'll be a 4-issue series involving at least 4 incredible, iconic characters from the early pulp sci-fi era, which is sort of my specialty. And I'm also I'm just seeing the colors on the last one today. I have a Savage Tale super special coming, I think, in April, which will finally end my Gulliver of Mars epic after 3 issues of Gulliver of Mars, and will an Alan Quatermain story that I'm really proud of, a fun little Vampirella story, and a fun Red Sonja story. Really great artists on those. And excuse me.
That's okay.
And then Dave Acosta is just about to start drawing my most treasured project ever, which will be called Two-Fisted Fairy Tales.
Okay.
I don't know if you you maybe have not heard about this yet, but it's going to be a 5-issue series. The pitch is the joke pitch I've been doing for years until we finally set it up at Dynamite is it's a cross between The Princess Bride, and Band of Brothers.
Interesting.
True story. My father was a World War II veteran and a pulp fiction writer himself. Wrote private eye novels, gothic romances, whatever anyone would pay him to write. And when I was a little boy, this is absolutely true, he told me all of the classic fairy tales as World War II combat stories about himself, in which he was the main character, or at the very least the hero. So when I was 5 or 6, the first time I heard Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother were working for the French resistance, and the wolf was a Gestapo officer. And you know how in the original story, the huntsman comes in at the end and saves Little Red Riding Hood? That is my father kicking down the door and killing the wolf with a Thompson submachine gun as a representative of the 20th Armored Division of the United States Cavalry in 1944 in northern France. That is how I first heard that story. So Two-Fisted Fairy Tales, art by Dave Acosta, written by me. The main character is Sergeant Michael Angelo Avallone of the United States Army, and he is telling these stories to little David Avallone in bed in suburban New Jersey in 1971.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
I can't wait to get this.
I need it now. I want to read it now.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this thing out there. It's it is at once a fantasy adventure horror comic, and it's also a very personal memoir of my life growing up, and a memory of my late father, who I loved more than anything and who's a big influence on my writing career. I think when people see these stories, and obviously I am altering them somewhat to make them fit in a comic book and make them work as a comic book, but I think when people read these, they'll go, that's why he's who he is. That's why he turned out this way. He had his dad telling him this whimsical, goofy, and yet also sort of violent stuff when he was a kid. The biggest change I made from Dad's stories, because I'm pretty accurate to how Dad told me the stories, but the one thing I did to make it better as a comic book is it has a through line narrative. Even though the first issue is Little Red Riding Hood, second one is The Three Little Pigs, the third one is Sleeping Beauty and Goldilocks. I think I get to Goldilocks in issue 3. 4 is called, codename Rumpelstiltskin. It's that kind of series. So, the thing I'm doing that he didn't do is I'm connecting them all as a narrative instead of making them all standalone stories. But that is the thing. I love writing Elvira. I love writing Savage Tales and Alan Quatermain and Vampirella and Sonja, and love those characters dearly. But this is the thing closest to my heart of anything I've ever done professionally. So
I love it. That's amazing.
Thanks.
I just can't wait to read it now. I guess I want it now. So
if you pester Joe Rybad, he will show you the first script.
Okay. Good to know.
But yeah. Or you can wait for Dave's art to come in. But yeah, that's I think Dave is starting on it pretty much this week. We had a phone call yesterday where I told him about we talked about what the style of the book would be, and where I told him that basically the style is going to be a little bit realistic, but I said the the big bad wolf and the three little pigs should kind of look like shouldn't look like wolves and pigs. They should look like Chuck Jones, Tex Avery, Big Bad Wolf from Warner Brothers cartoons, because that's what I grew up with. And that's what the 5-year-old me would have imagined. Not an actual wolf in a Nazi uniform, but the goofy wolf from a Saturday morning cartoon, you know. So we'll see how it all comes out. I can't wait to see the art.
Me too. David, thank you so much for sitting with me today. Thank you to everyone who's watching, and I hope everyone checks out the Humble Bundle. I hope everyone checks out just all of your Elvira stories in general. And Two-Fisted Fairy Tales, you said it's called, right? Yep. So everyone keep an eye out for that in the future.
Yep.
So thank you again.
Thank you, Amy.
I gotta, when that series comes out, I'll Dynamite or not, I gotta bring you on so we can talk.
Oh yeah,
about
it's Dynamite. It's definitely it's definitely a Dynamite book. I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear. I have other projects that I didn't mention
that we know for sure
at other companies, but no. This is already. I've already been paid for the script. It's a Dynamite project without.
Oh yeah, we're bringing you back on for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, thank you, David. Thank you, everybody. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and I hope to see you all soon.
Thanks, Amy.